Video games. It's definitely a term all of you are familiar with. But as someone who grew up in the 90s, video games were a totally different experience back then. So, why don't we go down memory lane as I tell you my experience with video games? And for those from the newer generation, then it's a good time to know more about video games from the past and how different they were. I should start at the beginning. As far as I could remember, my first exposure to video games were from these cheaply made handheld devices. They were commonly called brick games since it looked like a brick and was just as hard as one. And I'm not kidding when I said that they were like a brick. A friend of mine whacked me on the side of the head and I was instantly seeing stars. Seriously, these things were a deadly weapon. The device had only a handful of games. One of them was the ever-popular Tetris. Other games were a racing game and a spaceship game. The graphics were also too simple. I mean, look at this. Just like Tetris, the cars are made of squares. But it really didn't matter since my little child brain only wanted to play from morning until night. Kids are so easily amused by the smallest of things. Well, I'm one to talk. Jumping a few years later, malls started to add a new section that was designed for kids and teenagers. You know what I'm talking about, the massive hit that were arcades. I'm pretty sure most of you will agree that during this magical era, arcades were like a paradise since it had a large variety of games for people to play. Sure, it cost money, but the experience was worth every penny. I couldn't even imagine the amount of money I spent playing for hours in arcades. I would starve myself during lunch just so I could use that money to play in the arcades after school hours. Yeah, we all did stupid things when we were kids. Aside from your usual fighting and platforming games, there were special games that no kid could ever resist. One of these was the very popular House of the Dead series. I mean, look at it. Instead of buttons and joystick, the controller was a gun. It blew my little kid brain when I first saw it. It felt like I was actually using a gun to eliminate the zombies on the screen. I never really knew the official name of these kinds of games before making this video, but they're called light gun shooters. The more you know. Another game that was unique were the racing games. Look at it. You get to sit on a chair, steering wheel and all. But I'll admit that although they were fun, I never really got used to playing them. Some of my favourite arcade games were House of the Dead 2, Dance Dance Revolution, that Simpsons game, Soul Calibur, Alien vs Predator, and this basketball game. What a truly amazing time to be a kid.